Okay, I'm gonna do something really fun with you, right? So in preparation for this talk, I want you to name all the limitations that AI has at this point in picking up melanoma. And I'll tell you why, because I actually yesterday in preparation for this, I typed in the chat GPT and asked the open
I
AI this question.
love
Let's
it.
see how many of those you get it right. I mean, how many of those that you get a match with the machine? All right,
Let's
go
see if
ahead.
I can do better than ChatGPT. I'll tell you,
The
I've been playing
limitation
around.
of AI in picking up melanoma right now.
Yeah, I'll
That's the
tell you one
question I posed to
limitation.
chat
So
GPT.
one limitation actually is this is getting a little a little meta here, but one limitation of AI like ChatGPT, which is we call generative AI, which means you type in a prompt and it's acting human and giving you an answer. Here's one thing: it doesn't recognize when it shouldn't be as confident as it is. So I know that when I type in questions to ChatGPT, it's going to give me an answer. It's going to sound like the world's authority. And I'm going to look at that as an expert and say, hey, that part is absolutely not right. That's wrong. And it's going to tell you in a way where you think it's right. So I think that's one limitation. And one extreme danger
Yep,
is when you don't know what you don't know, or
yep,
when you think you know something that is not right. That's really challenging and dangerous because we as humans we put this probably inappropriate faith in all things technology. Hopefully, a little bit less so these days as we see some challenges with that. But just because it's technology doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's beneficial. It's only those things if we proactively make it so. So humans have to be involved to make things better. Okay. So I think that's one downside. Here's another downside. Um, it's really, really bad um, at performing tasks that it is not it has not practiced on. I'll give you an example of that. So Steve is representing a study that we did. It was actually back in 2016 is when we started that work. It feels like 2019, 2016. And so this was we'll call it an AI that was really good at separating and sorting things. Just you showed a picture of something and sorts it into the right bucket often, many times, especially when we asked, is this a skin cancer or not? So we did that, good sorting. And then you say, okay, I'm going to take, some skin spots of someone who has dark skin, sort
right.
these. It's going to say, hey, I'm really sure that I'm going to do this right. It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's incredibly bad.
No, you're so accurate. And I mean, I think one of the thing is those machines, those algorithm uses collective lesion, the database,
Mhm.
largely from let's say Caucasian population, right? And if you take the same algorithm and you apply it to the African American, Hispanic, Asian skin, it is off.
Mhm.
I'm using this AI as a research tool right now, and I'm just kind of impressed by how good it is to detecting just Caucasian lesions under the Caucasian individuals. But that thing is really way off when talking.
Off, yeah.
Yeah,
So there's cool stuff that that you can do to make it better, and in fact, it just takes a lot of time, energy, intentionality. That's some of this work that I'm passionate about with the research group here is how do you actually close that gap? But it's a gap. The other way, I think it's not only a gap, it's a dangerous one, and I'll tell you why. So there are folks maybe if they're trying to develop develop a product to sell, what they'll say is, yeah, this is really good at this thing. Let's do this thing and let's do it over and over and over and make it better and better and better. That's probably what would happen if we let capitalism take its course, right? And then we start to get technology that's really good on the stuff that it's seen a lot of. And the things that it sees a lot of are the things that are, as we know in our clinics, the people who are able to sit in front of Steve or myself are not representative of the broad population of people in this world. Absolutely not. And so what we start to see is tools that get better and better for those patients and leave the vast majority of folks behind. And so that is something that I say is a weakness, but it's more than a weakness. It's a danger. It's a moral and an ethical wrong, I would say. And that's something that I think is particularly true about AI as a technology. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a machine that just does better, better. But creates a gap in the process. So that's that. I would say, you asked me for a lot of different ones. That's by far the biggest one and the most important one and the most dangerous one. And that's the one where we need to have lots of people like you and I sort of pulling those two things together and say, no, we can't let that gap become bigger. We need to close that. We need to use the AI for good.
I think this is a really interesting exercise because I have to tell you, ChatGPT spit out the answers much faster than you did. All
Mhm.
right. And they took like 7, they put out 7 on this. And you give me 3, obviously
Yep.
lack of time, everything. And but the really interesting part is the limitation that you pointed out was not included in the ChatGPT's answer, right? And some of them they had a really good ones. Like one of them is like it's a black box, right? You don't know what's in it. You don't really know what this machine is looking at, right? And but I think this is another like really cool example of showing that how we need to, as especially as a clinician, need to be inserted in this process. We can't just let computer scientists sort of take over, right? And so that's a really quick one.